431 Soul Not For Sale podcast. Let's get into it. Ice Cube with Bill Maher. Very interesting conversation. Again, I've said this before. He's very loose in this podcast. He's talking more. He's a little more open. You know, maybe it's the chairs that they have. He's kind of like laid back. And the way that he usually just touches on things in a very tactful, subtle way, he kind of pushes that aside. He's kind of being a lot more open. And in this clip that I'm about to play for you, he drops a really big truth bomb that I've heard of in the past, but he makes a real good connection. And it has to do with the music industry's influence on social engineering. So let's get into that. Very, very interesting clip. Let's go. But before that, I have to show you how to do something, right? This is IamCoachColin.com, right? That's our newest design. Now, how do you get there? You can just click on that t-shirt if you want that I just showed you, or you can go here, catalog, America's Soul Not For Sale, because it's almost July 4th. God damn it. Best country in the world. And you can go here and check out everything we have to offer. We have tank tops, we have women's V-necks, we have women's tank tops, we have t-shirts, we have hoodies, all of that. Let me just get close up on a design here for you guys. Boom. Soul Not For Sale with that beautiful red, white, and blue on it. That's the newest design that I have going right now. I'm very, very proud of it, as you should be too, just because there's people in the government right now making wild decisions, spending your money frivolously across the oceans. Doesn't mean you can't be proud of the soil that's under your feet. Be proud, be patriotic. Just because you're being patriotic, it doesn't mean that you're pledging allegiance to Sleepy Joe. It means you're pledging allegiance to the country that you're from, as you should. Now, IamCoachColin.com, 10% off for everybody. Put in I am Coach Colin, all one word, all capital letters, one L in the call-in. That'll get you 10% off. You're welcome. And if anybody out there has gotten something off of this site, thank you, thank you, thank you. You are very, very appreciated. Some people are like, oh, you take too much time. I'm always going to thank the people who ride for me. Thank you so much. You have no idea how much you guys mean to me. Let's go. Let's get into this clip. Big truth bomb from Ice Cube in this one. Let me just pull it back here. Boom. Pull it right back. Let me make sure you guys get the whole thing. There you go. Let's go.
Latinx. Yeah, you say it. You know who doesn't say it? Latinos.
Yeah,
they fucking hate it. But it's like, no, we can change the rules, and then the people who haven't caught on, we'll get them. It's you know, we think it's fetch. Latinx.
Nah.
No.
You know, it's weird how the names are always changing every, something like 20 or 30 years. Somebody wants to put a new label on the same thing.
You mean ethnic names?
Yeah. You know,
right.
It seems like, you know, you go from this to that and the other.
Right.
You know, at the end of the day. And,
people of color used to be, you know, reversed 50 years ago.
Yeah, and it's just done to really keep us bickering and, you know, chasing these words.
Okay, so
and not really getting to the root of the issues, which are most of the time very common if we really go down to the root of it.
Could not agree more.
Yeah.
But you said it's being done to divide us. Okay, by who? Who's doing it?
Well, who benefits and profits off our bickering and our division? You know,
who?
It's like follow the money. I don't know their names, Bill, but if you follow the money, you go high enough, you start to see, okay, you know, this is an industry. Okay, let's take rap music.
Let's take it.
Same people who own the labels own the prisons. So
literally the same people?
Literally the same people who own the labels own private prisons. So, you know, it seems really kind of suspicious, if you want to say that word, that, you know, the records that come out are really geared to push people towards that prison industry.
But they didn't make you write those lyrics.
It's not about making somebody write the lyrics. It's about being there as guardrails to make sure certain songs make it through and certain songs don't. Certain flavors are exposed on the record. You know, some records are made by committee, meaning record company guys sit around and tell the artists, this is hot, say that, do this. We're gonna have this guy write the lyrics. We're gonna have that. So the narrative is really kind of, you know, structured and really made into what the record company want the record to be, and what the, you know, a lot of artists are frustrated with this kind of music making. You know, a lot of people, you know, feel like they're being controlled by the label. This is how they do it. Telling you what songs to sing, what hooks to do, what songs, you know, you can do your song, that's fine. That's an album cut. But the single is what we all say is the single. So you have, you know, the record company pushing the narrative, you know, and you know, so this to me is in somewhat, you know, some social engineering going on here to make sure those prisons stay full. Now, there's a lot of dots to connect to make that happen. But I'm just giving you a broad example of how people at the top can manipulate what's going on with the people who are bickering and fighting. I just gave you a music example, but there's examples of race.
Can I cross-examine this theory?
Of course you can cross-examine, of course. Of
No,
course.
I know, and I appreciate that.
Yeah.
Okay, so if your theory is that the prison industrial complex, and I agree, that's an abomination. We'll start off with there. Prison I've done editorials on this on my show. Prison is one of those things that should not be in private hands.
Yes.
Along with healthcare, a few other things that are like, you know, the good part of socialism. They should not be run by people for profit. I agree with that.
Yes.
I did not know about this connection to the music industry, that it's the exact same people. If by that you mean that the people who run the record companies may have stock in prisons, private prisons, that's possible because they all have stock. I mean, do they actually like Monday, Tuesday go to work as a record company executive and Wednesday through Friday go to work at the prisons? No.
Okay, so of course they're not actually running the labels.
They have financial interest in it.
They have financial interest.
Okay, so if they have financial interest in the prisons, and your theory, if I'm following.
Now, I just want to stop it there. This podcast, this is Bill Maher. His podcast is called Random Club, and that's with Ice Cube. Now, I want you to go and listen to the rest of that conversation. Ice Cube does touch on some more things, but here's what I want to break down really quick that they don't get into, is how could people in the music industry have a vested interest in the prison industry? Now, here's the thing that people aren't really getting. It's the people in the prison industry that have a vested interest in the music. It's not the other way around. The music people weren't sitting there one day saying, hey, you know what? We should get involved in like private prisons. You know, seems like we have some really young, wild black men here. You know, maybe we can inspire them to fill up prisons. No. It went the other way around. The people in the prisons, they need occupation. There's a lot of prisons that need to have 70% of their prisons occupied. And they don't care if it's with black or white people. But if hip hop is the thing that's playing into the ears of a nation of young black men, Latino men, brown men, and now white men as well, whatever the music is of the day, let's help that music help us. Let's inspire that music to help us. And that's why you've seen this growth of, like, why is every song about killing? Why is every song about drugs? Why is every song about like murderous intent? You know, why does every song sound so evil? You know, Kanye West talks about that. I think Rick Ross talks about that. He's another rapper. XXXTentacion, who passed away, he talks about that as well, how music can really control your moods and whatnot. And that the music, the beats that they use nowadays is music that will inspire like anxiety and anger and like pump up kind of thing. So it's like, yeah, you can get pumped up and be like a Jersey Shore person and be like, yeah, and just jump around the club. Or you could be in your neighborhood getting pumped up, right? And instead of it just being a beat, it could be somebody saying like, you know, rob a motherfucker, you know, get him, go and get him, rob him, hit him up. I'm not a rapper, obviously. But MOP was a rap group, and they had a song called Annie Up. And it was a song just about robbing people. Ante up, jack that fool, kidnap that fool. Like, he's like, if he's got those diamonds, get his ass shot. It was like a whole thing. It was wild. Go listen to it. M.O.P. Ante Up. It's a very wild song. Inspired a lot of people to get wild. Listen to Wu-Tang Clan. I'm sure you can find a bunch of songs there that inspire people to get wild. And then when he talks about the people in the guardrails, this is something, if you look into it, if you look into record executives talking, they really do that exact thing. Nowadays, it might be towards, we're only going to sign an artist if he has colorful dreads and his nails are painted and he's willing to be a little feminine and, you know, like that type of thing, because of different agendas going on, because the prisons are at capacity, and it's just like, it's like a conveyor belt almost now. It's like you hit a certain age, you go to prison, you stay there for a while, you come out, you go back. It's like a whole system going on. Like Ice Cube said, social engineering. And yeah, if you look into that. I heard once in a documentary, this documentary has been wiped from the internet. It was a documentary, and it was narrated by an artist named Mos Def. He's a very conscious artist. He said in this, he was interviewing a bunch of people. There was one guy that said, he's like, every single hit you hear on the radio is written by 5 people. He goes, there's about 5, maybe 6 people who write every hip hop song you hear on the radio. Whether it's a girl or a guy, they're the ones that write it. Mind blowing. Now, this documentary came out about 10 years ago, so maybe that's changed a little bit. But just to know, I mean, it kind of goes along with what Ice Cube's saying even more so. 10 years ago, it was the 2000s. You go back 20 years, we're in early 2000s. You go back 30 years, we're in the 90s. Kind of makes sense. One little group of people decide, like, these are the songs that are going to come through. And those people, maybe they're working in tandem with people who are heavily invested in the prison system. There's many clips that you can find of people talking about just that. There's many clips. So I don't doubt Ice Cube for a second. And you know, how could I? I mean, he was one of the godfathers of gangster rap, you know, of that whole hit 'em up, get 'em mentality, that rile you up and almost get you violent mentality. He was one of the guys that started all that stuff. So I don't doubt him saying that for a second. And you see it today more than ever. There has to be more artists who aren't talking about twerking and doing drugs. There has to be other artists that are talking about other things. But what happens? You hear those artists and you go, no, I don't want to hear that. I don't think it's just because the young people of today or any hip hop listener won't want to hear that. I think it's because they have a vested interest in that community not hearing that. And again, it goes way past, you know, black people now. It's white and black people. You know, we're all in the same boat now. There's as much as people think there's this division between us, there's really not. Like, not in their eyes. In their eyes, we're all the same. Separate, divide, whatever. But, you know, white men are being demonized the same way black men have been demonized for years and years. It's happening constantly. You know, they're constantly trying to tear white men down, trying to tear white men away from their women, trying to tear white men away from their families. I see it all the time. I see it the same way I saw it with black people in the 90s. So, same playbook, just focusing on different people, you know, or broadening who they focus on, I should say. Very interesting clip from Ice Cube. Definitely check out the rest of this podcast. They touch on this topic. They talk about the police. And Ice Cube has some really interesting insights there. I might even make another video about that. Other than that, yeah, there's a bunch. Like the video. It helps so much. You have no idea. Like the video. Boost us out from the shadow realms, please. We need to be out with the other YouTubers, you know? We're like in the dark place for the gulag of YouTube for some reason. Maybe because of conversations like this. Who knows? But yeah, check this out. It's an hour and a half. It's an hour in 29 minutes, 32 seconds long. It's a really good podcast. Ice Cube, man, he's real relaxed on this one. And when he's on another podcast, I will bring you all the clips from that as well. All right? So other than that, I am out. Let me know what you think in the comments.